Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at theDove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at theDove.us. Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. Well, I don't know anything that touches you any deeper than when a child gets sick. And in this case, even with cancer. It's one of those realities in our culture, in our world, and we have a very special guest today. I'm delighted to have with us Paul Stepusin. He's actually a public accountant, but recently has written a book entitled Rare, and it's My Daughter's Faithful Journey Through Cancer. And there's a picture of it there on the screen for those watching on theDove TV. You may want to check it out at the bookstores. And since his accounting career, now he's focusing on speaking on faith and loss and God's grace. And so, Paul, nice to have you with us, my friend.
Well, thanks, Perry. Thanks for the introduction. It was beautiful.
Yeah. You know, I don't know anything that touches us more deeply as when children become ill. And this whole issue of cancer personally has got me my brain on tilt, because I don't know why we're not calling it epidemic, but we don't seem to be calling it that. But what's your story? What's your journey, and what happened?
Well, it started, you know, again, I would say we're just a typical family with 3 children, and our daughter was going away to college, and so she went to a summer program, and everything went fine. And the week she had off, her mother thought she should just do, you know, routine checkups. So it wasn't that she was feeling sick or anything. And in one of the routine checkups, they found cancer. And, you know, of course, we were, you know, like just all shocked, because we had already packed her car to move to college the next day. And, you know, it took them about a month to completely diagnose the type of cancer, hence the word rare. It's rhabdomyosarcoma, and there's only about 350 documented cases a year. So it's not a cancer that, you know, there's a lot of documentation out there. And so, but her doctors and team started cancer treatment literally the next week after we found out she had cancer. So we went from, you know, our daughter being completely healthy, going away to college, and then fighting cancer. Wow.
You discovered it in a blood test?
It was just a routine GYN, you know, checkup. And so they did a pap smear, and they just noted it, and, you know, they thought it was nothing. And so it was on Tuesday, and then on Friday, a pathologist confirmed that there were cancer cells present.
Wow. And so they set the course of treatments, and she didn't go away to college, and so you're now in a whole new routine. Lead us through the story.
Well, actually, she did go. She decided that Friday night she was going to college, and she to college, and her doctors worked in between. She was not able to finish her first semester, but she attended her classes, and she went through, you know, surgery to remove the tumor, and then she immediately went through chemotherapy with 2 different drugs, and then they continued to find cancer cells at the latter part of her first semester, and they decided to do a complete hysterectomy. And then she went back to college. The pathology reports were very positive post-hysterectomy. And she did attend and took 5 classes and got 5 A's from the University of Florida. Really enjoyed. But right after she finished her semester, her and her mom decided to take a kind of a celebration cruise across the Atlantic. And midway across the Atlantic, her cancer came back with a vengeance. And we had to fly her back from a small island off of Spain to have immediate surgery. And then it just continued, you know, back and forth, them trying to find a chemo drug to just stop the cancer.
Wow. How did your faith play into all this?
Well, you know, if you would ask me about Rebecca's faith, or, you know, I would say she had a very simple faith. She loved church. She loved Bible classes, and she attended youth ministry for years and years. You know, but you never know about faith until, I guess, you are tested. And I think we all fed off of her faith. And again, it was simple faith. She just never questioned why she got cancer. And even though a lot of people asked her that question, she just said, well, people get cancer. But her faith was, you know, that this was her cross, and she didn't want cancer, but she did everything she could to stop it. But she lived her life, and I think that's where the book has inspired so many people. Is there's literally 20 authors, because I started writing the book 2 weeks after she was diagnosed. And so me and her actually talked about it and started writing together as a quest of ours to write a book. But it just, I think the inspiration part is everyone noticing she could feel sorry for herself, but she chose not to. She just went and lived her life. And every second that she was healthy, she just enjoyed life.
Wow, what a lesson. What was going through your mind? I mean, here's your daughter. She's got a great attitude about this whole thing. She's moving forward. You're trying to document this. I mean, that's quite a challenge handling and all that.
Perry, I don't know that I had a great attitude. I said she had a great attitude.
Okay.
I don't want to correct you, but I was devastated. And as a father, your instincts are to protect your children. And when you're torn into a situation where there's nothing you can do as a father or a mother, because Nancy felt the same way, we were falling apart, and so we were trying, but Rebecca just wouldn't let us. And there's so many stories in the book about people interacting with her and telling that story, but when we knew she was dying and she was in hospice, she asked me a direct question if she was dying 4 days before, and I did answer yes. And I started to cry, as you might expect. And she, Perry, she looked at me and kind of called me out on my faith and said, "Dad, why are you crying? Nothing bad is happening to me. You, of all people, know that." And it was that kind of simple faith that inspires people, is that she didn't want to die. But she also understood that nothing bad was happening to her, and God was close to her. And that that was something she was going to tell me too 4 days before she passed away, that, "Dad, nothing bad is happening to me."
What a story. When did you, as her dad and family, realize that she wasn't going to make it?
I think initially right after a diagnosis, so she was in treatment for 19 months. So the book, chronologizes all the events of that time period. But when we got the diagnosis, in a sense, a month into it, I probably was the only one, it appears, that did not go to the internet and research this particular cancer when we found out. But I'm pretty sure Rebecca would have too. She was pretty computer savvy, and if you read about her cancer, it's a tough cancer. It's very aggressive, and I know every day they're trying, and they just had an advancement today. So for all the families fighting it, they are advancing their knowledge of this cancer. But it was pretty clear at the time that she was diagnosed that, it was an uphill battle. And on the first meeting with the oncologist, I felt, and I don't know that I should have, but I felt to ask the question, do you consider this life-threatening? And he said, yes, we think we're ahead of it, but yes, we would have to consider that. So I think we started, and I think Rebecca started that way too. And there's so many stories in the book about her kind of knowing that maybe her time on earth was shorter than, she would have liked, but she just went on with her life, because none of us know the days.
That's remarkable, and I guess that is the story that is to be conveyed. She had the proper perspective. Is there anything, looking back, Paul, that you as a family and maybe even her as the treatment and the process you went through, that you would do differently?
No, her doctors were God sent, and they did everything. She had 5 major surgeries, so they really did try to stop the cancer. They gave her 10 different chemotherapy drugs, so twice they actually created protocols for her. So, no stone was unturned. And when in about 3 months before she passed away, they had kind of run their course about every normal chemotherapy program. And the doctor asked me if, there were some experimental programs in other countries. And I had mentioned it to Rebecca, and And Rebecca said, no, Dad, whatever our doctors here want to do, I'm fine with that. But no, I don't want to go chasing anything else. And so she was very calm about that.
Oh. So, Paul, you continue to write and talk about this. You feel like this is what God's called you to do now?
Yeah, I think me and Rebecca talked a lot about what we were going to do. I mean, the theory was Perry, we would both be on this interview with you as an inspiration story about someone, who's young that endured. But I learned in the process she did endure. Her story goes on and life goes on because of her. And yeah, it was clearly life-changing for me. Just a couple of days ago, I met someone with MS that read the book. And I didn't know this person, but they found me. And she said the book inspired her and is really helping her, with her disease because of, Rebecca's story and how she just inspired her life. And she said she was so thankful to read the book. And so I think the book is inspiring people in ways that I never intended, or Rebecca. So I believe, when you live a life, what else would you want but to be remembered as someone that inspires people?
Wow, fascinating story. Let me encourage you to check it out. By the way, it's rarebooksPC.com is the website, rarebooksPC.com, and there's a picture of it on the screen. You may want to pick it up. Paul, fascinating. Thanks for sharing it. I think there is much to be gained from folks who are going down this road, from the encouragement that you and, of course, Rebecca leave as their legacy, and just how she handled this. It's just incredible. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Jerry. And it's on iTunes and Barnes & Noble, so there's a lot of ways to get to the book.
Okay, iTunes and Barnes & Noble. All right, thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
All
Bye.
right, we'll be right back.